present her amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I come before you tonight to introduce an amendment to H.R. 467, the Halt Fentanyl Act. My amendment will reads, notwithstanding any other provision of law, any person who knowingly or intentionally imports fentanyl or any fentanyl-related substance across the southern border shall be punished by death.
To suggest that this amendment, which applies an automatic death sentence to anyone who imports any amount of fentanyl-type drugs, so long as it comes across the southern border, is not a serious or rational response to a very serious problem. I mean, we've had, at the port in Philadelphia a couple years ago, we had 110 pounds of fentanyl seized, and it came through the port of Philadelphia. So the fact that there would be this bizarre distinction between the southern border and the other ports where 90% of the fentanyl is coming in doesn't make any sense.
This is a story of Marjorie Taylor Greene thinking she knows something and actually thinking that she's getting something done when actually it's backing the same repetitive hate that's targeting one specific group and not actually doing the things that she's planning on. She's talking about stopping the traffic of fentanyl in the country. And apparently it's only coming from Mexico because we know how she thinks. Another lawmaker then jumps in and lets her know the reality of it. It's coming from other places. So why does this amendment have anything to do with just the southern border? And I think a light bulb dimly went off in her head. Still there though, she continued on and pushing back on the things that Marge was talking about. Here's more.
On the off chance this is supposed to be a serious amendment and not just clickbait for social media or campaign donations, I would offer the following points for consideration.
Nothing is for clickbait or campaign donation.
First of all, the amendment's unconstitutional. The Supreme Court has been clear that the death penalty is a violation of the Eighth Amendment in circumstances where death was not the immediate result of the violation in question. This law contains no such limitations as to seriousness. And what the court said there, and I think it's instructive, is that when the law punishes by death, it risks its own sudden descent into brutality, transgressing the constitutional commitment to decency and restraint.
All those things that she's not warning Marge about, she doesn't care. Descending into chaos and all, that's exactly what they're looking for. That's the whole plan. That's who she is. So I mean, I guess maybe that part probably fell on deaf ears though. But she didn't continue. One more here though, because she went on to tell Marge that this would be the first by the way, death penalty, and that's the minimum sentencing. Would love to know what the maximum sentencing is after death for something like this. She addresses that too.
Second, it would have the absurd result that you've got a mandatory death penalty for someone who brings a pill with fentanyl across the southern border, but not for someone who imports hundreds of pounds of fentanyl anywhere else in the country. Third, it imposes a mandatory minimum sentence of death. We've had a lot of conversations, and granted, it was before you came to testify today. We've had a lot of conversations here today about the validity or the use of mandatory minimum sentences, but this would be the first and only mandatory minimum sentence in US history. And none of the other offenses that you cited have a minimum sentence of death regardless of the circumstances. It's always a maximum. So I obviously can't support this amendment, and I yield back.
The gentleman from Pennsylvania is recognized.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Would you like to respond to any of that?
Response didn't mean much though. Adrian, maybe I'm missing it. Maybe we can have a minimum sentencing of death for someone bringing a pill of fentanyl across only the southern border. If it comes from anywhere else, they can walk, it's fine.
All right, so I think I might have maybe far too progressive of a thought about this, but when it comes to fentanyl and other drugs, my issue is less of attacking the dealers and the deliverers and attacking the source of why people want it. And when I mean attack of, are you providing social support systems? Are you giving people the opportunity and the option to have a better life for the reasons that they don't want to escape their current reality? Because that's what drugs offer us. So when we create these harsh penalties for drug dealers, drug traffickers, and we don't address the issue of why people are seeking out drugs and we don't help ameliorate that, then that's when we fail. We really don't do right by a lot of people who are using drugs because their reality sucks so damn bad because our society doesn't take care of its people.
Straight up. And by the way, sometimes they bring up some of these factors, they just won't connect it to then how that responds. It ends up being a blame on the person as a character, as a human being. And then they'll turn around and say the next breath, God bless America, we love America, greatest country on earth. But then at the same time, you're dogging out your citizens, calling them lazy pieces of garbage, they don't wanna work. All these types of things they push on citizens. And then where's the praise? Where do we get so amazing from if the entirety of our citizenry sucks? Absolutely sucks, and they expect people to vote for them afterwards. And anything that they paid into the system, they get nothing back for, from healthcare to support like this, all the way down to veterans that need this type of stuff, from PTSD to then they end up sometimes homelessness and drug addictions as well. F everybody. Have you paid me yet? I got nothing to say to you. That's the slogan of the Republican Party.